High DPS sword users in general are some of the most fun characters in Relink, and Charlotta is no exception. While on the surface her kit does seem to be very simple, and I would still say she is a very friendly character for players less confident in their skills thanks to her invincibility and potential damage cut, there's a bit more complexity to her than you might think to get the most out of her kit and her damage by constantly using combo finishers out of Noble Stance and rotating skills in such a way to always have Noble Stance up. Not to mention needing to usually dodge midair out of animations to get the most damage, meaning there can be a lot you need to do and remember. In this guide, I want to discuss Charlotta, talk about her strengths and weaknesses, discuss general playstyle and setup, and showcase practical gameplay application of the character. As always, if you enjoy guide content on Relink and other RPGs, and especially Xenoblade, and are interested in seeing more in the future, make sure to subscribe to the channel because it does help me out so much. Let's get into it. So Charlotta is a fairly short-range melee DPS character, both vertically and horizontally, who can function both as a strong DPS and as a tank depending on what skill setup you run. I'll be primarily showcasing a more DPS-oriented build, but the tank set will function very similarly, just with a major skill difference and maybe a few sigil subtrait changes. Taking a look at Charlotta's support skills, the first and major of these is Noble Stance. Noble Stance can be activated by using your standard attack combo, link attacks, or by using damage skills. This will cause the sword to glow a golden yellow, and all of your attacks will be enhanced. This is not insignificant. You will get a very noticeable damage boost from this, so the primary goal of Charlotta is going to be to try to stay in a form of Noble Stance at all times. Noble Stance is most easily noticeable when you are rapidly attacking with the standard combo button. If you enter Noble Stance out of a skill or link attack, if you press the standard attack button afterwards, you will go back into this rapid attack animation. However, you are technically in Noble Stance anytime the sword is glowing, so even if you are not in this animation, you are still in Noble Stance as long as that sword is glowing. You can also dodge and maintain Noble Stance, so use that if you need to. If using skills automatically gets you into Noble Stance, as does link attacks, what is the primary benefit of Noble Stance? Well, the answer to that is the finishers. If you were to press the combo finisher button, which is bound to Y for me, Charlotta will jump very high into the air and be able to perform a few different finishers. Press nothing, and she will spin horizontally and attack a few times as she comes down. Typically, this is not the finisher you're going to want to use. Press the combo finisher button again, and she will jump even higher and use a singular stab attack as she comes back down. This can be good for stun damage, but to get the most possible damage of the character, you want to press the standard attack button after pressing your combo finisher button to get the most damage, as Charlotta will do a windmill attack that can hit enemies multiple times and easily has the highest potential damage of all of her combo finishers. I say potential damage because capping the hits on the windmill attack outside of the final one is harder than you'd think. It has a high cap but low scaling, meaning you actually need a lot of attack boosters to actually cap it compared to her other abilities, and a normal build likely will not. But even still, with just a few attack boosters, it will likely still be your strongest source of damage, and a move you will likely be using a lot. Now, one thing you'll notice about this windmill attack is that it sends you very high into the air, and depending on the enemy you are fighting, you can lose a lot of damage if the enemy is too short to land the full windmill on. So one thing you can do to prevent going even higher in the air after using your combo finisher is dodging mid-air. This will cancel all of your vertical momentum and allow you to use your windmill attack on the spot, which is one of the keys to maximizing her damage. So just make sure to dodge mid-air as you go up around the height of the enemy, and you'll get the full amount of hits usually. The timing on this can be a bit tricky, since if you're too early, you'll just normal dodge on the ground instead, and against certain enemies like the dummy, you can still be too late, and you can be a little bit too high. It takes some practice to get used to the timing, and on some enemies with a smaller hitbox like the dummy, you can even miss a couple hits of your windmill attack if you're not able to dodge into the enemy properly. So it can be a little bit challenging sometimes. But it's not too hard once you get used to it at the very least. One of her damage skills, Holy Ladder, is also very short cooldown but doesn't do too much damage and also automatically sends her into the air, and you can cancel out of this skill early into a combo finisher in much the same way. I'll talk about that specifically more in the skills section. She also has a unique sigil which reduces your cooldowns if you use your normal attack while on Noble Stance, meaning more combo finishers if you take advantage of that. Because her combo finisher is such a huge source of damage for her, an ideal gameplay loop for Charlotta is going to be using a skill, using a combo finisher, using another skill, using a combo finisher, all the way until your last available damage skill, then holding Noble Stance if no skills or link attacks are up by mashing the normal attack combo button in order to reduce the cooldowns of your skills so that you can use them and repeat the process again. Her skill set also comes with plenty of ways to reduce damage taken and continue attacking, so you can continue this loop, and her other support skill, Enforcer of Justice, backs this up as it will allow you to block an attack without being interrupted if you press her combo finisher button at the perfect time, which can be situationally useful if you're in Noble Stance and an enemy is about to attack. That should cover most of the basic information about playstyle, so let's get into setup and skills. So, as you might expect, I am running the Terminus weapon. This is just the best weapon in the game as long as you can get the drop for it, just because of Catastrophe mainly being one of the absolute best traits in the entire game, giving you attack plus 50% and damage cap plus 100% when health is below 45,000, giving you a ton of additional damage. It also just has a really high attack value in general, and when maxed out, it gives you Sigil Booster, which gives you all of your traits plus 1 level on your Sigils, which is really nice to have as well. If you don't have this, the crit rate weapon or the awakened weapon or ascension weapon will also be really good options to use. As far as her unique sigils, Holy Knight's Luster is incredibly good. I absolutely recommend running this at all times because it reduces your skill cooldowns by 0.5% per X hit, and this is a very noticeable effect when you are in noble stance and just mashing the attack button over and over. Unlike Cascade, you can see the benefits of this pretty much at all times, which is really nice. So absolutely run this. This is a very, very good Holy Knight's Grandeur. The other unique effect she has is a little less useful, but it is kind of nice to have if you're able to constantly get the parry timing on the combo finishers. So you get an additional invincibility for 5 seconds, another 30% attack bonus, which means that for the next 15 seconds, all of your combo finisher attacks are going to be doing more damage, since that's probably the only thing you're going to be in danger of and not actually capping. So pretty nice effect to have. Nothing substantial, but still really nice. As far as the sub-traits on both of these, I have a damage cap on Holy Knight's Luster, meaning I only have to run 3 other damage caps in order to hit the full amount of that. And on Holy Knight's Grandeur, I have Tyranny. This is a general attack boost that also lowers your health, just so we can make sure that we're hitting those damage caps on everything we can and getting more damage on the effect that are combo finishers, I should say. And then I'm running my 3 damage caps. Now, I'm running quick cooldown. I actually think quick cooldown is a little bit less efficient on her just because of the ability to lower your cooldown just by being in noble stance and mashing the attack button. Although I didn't really have any better sub-traits here, and it still can be useful to reduce the cooldowns further, especially if you're in a position where you cannot use your noble stance as effectively in a boss fight. So, still a nice effect to have. If you have something better as far as defensive utility, you can definitely consider running it, but I have all the defensive utility I thought I needed in this particular setup. Potion Hoarder is also here because Potion Hoarder is just the best sigil effect in the game, really giving you 3 revives, giving you a ton of potions to heal your team, and giving you a lot of potions for yourself as well. Speaking of which, I forgot to mention, but my imbued traits include Life on the Line, which means that allies cannot heal me, but that just gives me another attack booster here, which is really nice to have, along with crit rate and a little bit of Cascade, which is not the most impactful here, but it is something to have. I don't really have any other maxed out Cascade because I don't have it as a sub-trait on anything else, but it could be something you consider running. I bring up Life on the Line in particular because if you have Potion Hoarder, it is much less detrimental to run this because you're able to heal yourself a lot more efficiently if you have your own set of just a million potions. So Life on the Line becomes a lot better of a trait as long as you are confident in your abilities to not get hit super often and as long as you can heal yourself without too much issue. I'm also running 2 supplementary damage 5s. This just gives you some additional damage, basically 75 or 3/4 chance to do 20% more damage with 2 of them, which is really nice to have since it's one of the only ways you can really boost your damage past damage caps, so that's a nice effect to have. I also have Improved Dodge. This is just a nice effect because it comes with a Guts sub-trait as well for me. Improved Dodge means you can dodge multiple times in a row, and as you know with Charlotta, if you dodge, you can still maintain Noble Stance. This can be nice to kind of move around an enemy if you need to while still maintaining your Noble Stance, not losing it by having to stay in place. And Guts is just really, really good as a bonus effect because it allows you to live lethal hits with 1 HP on a 2.5 minute cooldown, essentially, which is really nice. Very, very good effect. Link Together is also a very good party support effect, which basically increases the efficiency of your entire team by allowing you to do better Link attacks and give you more Link level gains so you can get the Link time sooner. It also increases the damage of Skybound Arts and Chain Bursts as well, which is awesome. And then we have War Elemental, also a really, really good sub-trait because it bypasses the damage cap to allow you to do 20% more damage, basically unconditionally against pretty much every enemy in the entire game with any of your attacks. So just get used to running this if you have it. It's very good, can be obtained from Curios. And then we have Critical Hit Rate 5. This with just 1 sigil here because of the Masteries I have and the booster on my weapon. I'm able to reach 91% critical hit rate. Now, ideally, I usually like hitting 100% critical hit rate, but I didn't really have a way to fit everything I wanted to in on this particular build. So just running 1 does allow me to hit at 91%, which is still really nice. If you get better Overmasters, you can hit 100% with only 1 of these, which can be really nice. And Stamina is just a very, very high attack boost, 51% at 100% health, which you should pretty much be at all times anyway. So very good to make sure you're hitting the cap on everything except the windmill attack, but allowing you to do as much damage on that windmill attack as possible. So very good effect to have. And then I have Combo Finisher Damage. This is probably one of the only characters I would recommend this on. Combo finisher damage feels like some kind of independent multiplier just on your combo finishers, which allows your windmill attack to do a lot more damage from what I have noticed at the very least. So I do think this is actually a pretty good trait to run on Charlotta in particular because of that, because the windmill attack does do a lot of damage if you're able to maximize that as much as you can. And then the sub-trait on it is Aegis. This kind of just nullifies the effects of Tyranny to give you about 41,000 health total, which is really nice to have. Make sure you're still under that 45,000 threshold of Catastrophe, so you're not in any danger from anything there. And you get a lot of health to make sure you can kind of survive hits a little bit easier, which is really nice. So that should cover it for Sigil effects. You can run some more offensive things. You can run some more defensive things, such as auto-revive as well. But I think this is a pretty good setup just to have in general for a mix of both. And just having some good utility as well with Link together, which is really nice. So let's talk about skills now. She actually has a lot of pretty useful skills. So her first skill is Sword of Lumiel. This attack animation is extremely similar to her normal Noble Stance attack animation, but it is different and it does do a lot more damage. So this attack is a duration-based attack based on how long you hold down the button it is assigned to. That is X for me. And it does do a little finisher at the end or when you release the button. And this also gets you in a Noble Stance no matter what you do, so you can immediately start mashing the attack button afterwards and go back in the Noble Stance. And this is something you can reduce the cooldown of by attacking in Noble Stance as well, which is really nice. So this is a really good attack. This is one of her highest damaging skills, something I definitely recommend running pretty much all the time just because of how useful it is. Next up, we have Holy Ladder. This is the attack that sends you straight into the air. So, of all of her damaging skills, this is the only one you cannot go into your normal attack animation afterwards because it sends you in the air, but you do count as being in Noble Stance while you are using this attack. So this is the attack you can kind of cancel by dodging out of into using a finisher. Now, you can let the attack animation finish before doing this if you want to get the damage from it, but the actual damage from this skill is not actually that impactful. So a lot of times you may want to cancel this skill early by immediately dashing out of it and just using your combo finisher to get the most benefit out of it so you can go into your other skills or use some of your other high damaging abilities. The only real benefit of this attack as an actual damaging move, I would say, is the projectile attack, which can be used to target enemies from across the field. But otherwise, I would definitely recommend just kind of canceling out of it, which you can do by immediately rolling once you jump into the air. The timing is a little strict because if you do it too early, you'll just dodge into the ground, which is not exactly what you want to do. You definitely want to be dodging in the air so you can go into your combo finisher immediately. Shining Onslaught. This is a multi-hit lunge attack that inflicts defense down on an enemy, which is really nice to keep up with the enemy since you're not going to be damage capping your combo finisher as much. It's also really nice as a gap closer, so you're able to use this to get closer to an enemy, and if you hold forward, you'll probably get more hits on the attack as well. I definitely recommend running this at all times just because of how useful it is as an ability as a gap closer, and it also sends you into Noble Stance. Invincible is another one I recommend running at all times. Even if you're running a more offensive set, I still recommend having this skill just because it is so useful because you're able to nullify all damage taken for about 15 seconds, which is super nice. It means you can kind of just go ham with Charlotta on the enemy without having to worry about any attacks they're currently doing. And it also allows you to attack enemies during phases you normally would not be able to attack enemies in, which can be really nice to have, especially because you're able to kind of reduce your art cooldowns by being in Noble Stance. So if you wanted to use this while you are close to an enemy, you can reduce your skill cooldowns even further. Sorry for calling them arts. As far as the other skills, we have Konig's Child. I don't know how to pronounce this. I apologize. This grants damage cut to Charlotta and nearby allies, which honestly can be a pretty useful skill. So if you want to replace Holy Ladder, since it's probably the least useful of her skills, to run something like this and act as a more tank-focused Charlotta setup, this is a really nice skill. All damage you take while you have this is reduced by 50%, which is really nice, and it can also affect your nearby allies, meaning they'll take reduced damage as well. This is actually a really nice support ability. If you want to go max damage on Charlotta, you might not want to run this, but if you want to be more team-oriented and be more tanky, this can be a really good skill to run. It'll be a little bit harder to maintain Noble Stance at all times with this, but that's not really a huge deal just because of how useful this is as an effect. Rising Cut is one of her two skills I would say don't really run ever. I mean, Charlotte already has plenty of ways to parry the enemy, so having another additional kind of parry here isn't really that impactful when you can just press the Y button, your combo finisher, and it'll automatically parry the enemy anyway, especially if you're running the Sigil that allows that parry to give you invincibility and an attack boost. It's just going to be better than running Rising Cut pretty much in every situation. Valiant Stance. Now, this is an interesting one. Now, you can't get a really massive attack boost out of this if you're able to maintain it, but if you take damage, you will not keep that attack boost. If you're able to get the full attack boost, you can start damage capping every hit of your windmill, which can be really nice to have, but you also have to sacrifice a damaging skill or invincibility for this, which can be a problem. Now, I can see some niche benefits of this, of running it with the invincibility skill to basically allow yourself not to take damage over that time period so you can stack up the attack boost, but even after that, you would be on your own until you get invincibility back in order to not take damage and maintain this attack boost. So most of the time, this is not actually the most useful attack boost to have. You're probably better off running other skills, but it can have some situational use, I would say. And then we have Sacred Charge. Don't use this. Never, ever use this. There's never really a situation you're going to want to distribute 30% of your gauge just to boost your allies a little bit. It's just not going to be a useful skill over all the other skills that you have, which offer more in the way of tankiness and damage for Charlotta, so I definitely do not recommend running this skill. That should cover it for her skills. I'm running a general skill setup here, which includes her 3 most damaging attacks and the Invincible, which I think is just the most beneficial set for the DPS build. But if you want to run more tank, this ability is really good as well, which grants the damage cut. So definitely run that over Holy Ladder if you want to be more tanky. As far as Overmasteries, I do not have the best Overmasteries here, but I did get a nice attack boost plus 1000, which gives me more damage on the combo finisher, which is the main reason I decided to keep it. I do only have 10% normal cap damage up and 10% skill damage cap up, so I could definitely be doing more damage, especially on that beginning section where I was fighting the dummy. I could definitely be doing more damage there. And I also have critical hit rate up plus 12%, which is really nice. All in all, these are actually 4 really useful traits. I just didn't get the maximum value out of my other 3 traits, but it does offer some really nice things. Allows me to hit 91% critical hit rate, and still gives me some cap up on both skill and normal attack, which is really nice to have. So these are probably the 4 main things you're probably looking for. Skybound cap up can be really nice as well sometimes. Otherwise, I don't really think there's anything that's going to be that super beneficial for Charlotta over just having the standard 4 boosters that I've got here. So just try to get some combination of this. Maybe get normal cap up and skill cap up 20% if you can. That's probably going to be one of the best ways to maximize her damage. So once again, that was a lot of information, so let's go ahead and get into more gameplay practical application. As usual, there will be probably post-game raid spoilers in this section, so just be warned of that. So I feel like this is another pretty good fight to showcase the abilities of Charlotta. I can instantly activate Invincibility at the start of this and not have to worry too much about the cooldown, just because I can get my skill cooldowns back really quickly by just spamming my regular Noble Stance button and my combo in that form, like I'm doing right here even. I do not get the full benefit of Sword of Lumiel there because he moves out of the way. That is one negative of that. But you see there, I'm able to get the parry there and get that 5 seconds invincibility by using my combo finisher at a perfect time as that laser from above was about to hit me, so I get a nice 30% attack boost off of that as well. So if you're in Noble Stance and about to be attacked, that is something really good to keep in mind and to try to use. So right here, I'm just kind of attacking him. I noticed that my allies, for the most part, are going after the cube, so I'm just going to keep attacking him here to make sure we get some damage on him in the meantime. So I'm using my windmill finisher every time I can, as you may have noticed. And I just go ahead and use one there because I was expecting him to go to the middle there, and I wasn't expecting to have to keep up my combo finisher there. Now that he's in the middle here, I am doing reduced damage to him, but with the invincibility, I can just sit in the middle here and keep attacking him. And this is something not many characters can just do so freely like this, because normally this would be a constant damage field on top of him right now. Now, once the invincibility is about to run out, I do have to move out of the way, and I do end up getting hit by the laser tail there because I'm bad at the game, but not really a huge deal, because once again, I'm able to just survive without too many issues. And I do farm a little bit of invincibility just by dodging some of the attacks here, and I go back into my combo once he's more vulnerable again. And then here's just me just trying to be cool, and I tried to do the Noble Stance counter again, but I failed the timing there, unfortunately. So I don't always nail the timing. Sometimes it can be safer to just move out of the way instead of just trying to get the style points every single time, but, you know, sometimes you can get it, and it can be nice to have that attack boost as well, so that's just what I was going for there. And I had Guts, and I've got plenty of revive potions anyway, so going for 1 or 2 is not really a huge deal. So we already got him into the next phase of the fight here because of the damage output I've been able to kind of do over the course of this fight, which is really nice. You'll also notice I'm already at 100% on my gauge here. I could have tried to chain, but my allies were not at 90% yet, so I did not want to use my special attack just yet and risk them not actually getting there. Now, the other Charlotta was at 87%, so I probably could have risked it, but I didn't want to worry about it, and we can always just do it after this phase anyway and not have too much trouble. And sometimes it can be better to do that as well. So I'm dodging while maintaining my Noble Stance here, as you can see. If you dodge like too many times in a row, you will lose it, so you do want to like make sure you're attacking in between a few times here. And I'm also kind of making sure I can time it with the ability to actually dodge over the AoE that comes out of him here to make sure I'm not having any issues there. And it looks like the cube on the other side was almost missed, but doesn't really matter. We do end up getting him. And now we just go back in the middle and start attacking him again. activate invincibility again on this part, because why not? And I can continue attacking him here. Even with the reduced damage, it's still some damage, and my skill cooldowns come back extremely quickly as long as I am doing this. Now, funnily enough, Vayne activates his invincibility as well, so once mine is about to wear off, I can just kind of dodge back into the shell here and continue attacking, which is really funny, and just kind of ignore this AoE as well. So, double invincibility cops can go pretty hard, I guess, as you can just keep doing damage throughout phases you're not supposed to be doing damage, which can be really nice as an effect of Charlotta, and why I really like the invincibility on her. So it looks like we're going in for our special moves now, and as you can see throughout this fight, I've just been going for noble stance finishers every time I have one of my other abilities that allows me to get back into noble stance instantly. And that's just kind of what I've been doing most of the time. I've just always been going for those windmill finishers. Sometimes you can go for the stun attack finisher, but I just don't really see the usefulness of it most of the time. So I go ahead and go for the attack here just because it'll allow us to get to the 100% link time, and we're going to do so much damage to him when this is over that we'll probably get him in range where he's not going to do the second phase here. He'll probably just go immediately into his enrage phase, where if he finishes the attack, he's just gonna be able to kill us. And that's exactly what he does. He doesn't even do the second Firefly phase. So we did a ton of damage there. That's why I did the 4-person finisher there instead of the standard 2 and 2 you've probably seen a lot. And we can end the fight really quickly after that. So Charlotta's able to end these fights really, really quickly, which is really nice. Especially with 2 Charlottas on the team, we were able to do that fight pretty quickly for a P8A fight. I'm pretty happy with how we played that in general. This video is already pretty long already, so I don't really have any reason to show off any other gameplay examples, because you can kind of see the general playstyle and how you approach most fights with the character. Abuse your invincibility, do a lot of combo finishers when in noble stance, and just do as much damage as you possibly can. Make sure you're mashing that attack button to get your skill cooldowns faster, and all will be good. She's not super overly complex, but she does have a little bit of mechanics that you do need to practice to get the most benefit out of and understand how to use. Regardless, I do hope you have learned something from watching this, and if you did, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment any feedback you might have for how I can improve these even further, and once again, thank you just so much for all the support. Please look forward to all of my future guides on the remaining characters. There are a lot of really fun characters in this game, and I cannot wait to get to some of the other ones that I really enjoy, so thank you guys so much for watching, have a wonderful and blessed day, and hopefully I will see you back here soon for even more guides.